kind of getting into it. This
Oh,
chapstick
now
is
we're
really
good.
cool because it's clear, but when you put it on, it's red. It turns out to be red. Watch. Throughout the show, my lips will get redder. Isn't that like a trip, though?
Wow, we're actually...
It's clear, and then it'll turn up to be red. And then even if you go to Ulta, they have green lipstick where you put it on, and it's like hot pink. Which you're going to give me money for to buy because I ran out of lip gloss, so now I'm just kind of pulling stuff out that I never used before.
The exclusive feature of Stephanie Makeup with Stephanie on YouTube is actually ratcheting up the game
It
here.
is. It's becoming something.
Yes.
What do you?
Exclusive
I mean,
feature
I would
that
have never. We would have never guessed it.
That only the YouTube viewers get to
See, it's turning
see.
redder. See,
Yes.
I would let you use it, but I don't want you using my stuff. So, sorry.
Well, that could start a whole different topic. Yeah.
That would.
Makeup with Roy.
We're not gonna go there.
Oh boy, that would light some stuff up. We're
Right.
getting ready to join IE Newswire live on Facebook, as we do every day, and we kick this off. I look forward to this song now every day
Wow.
as it's putting in. I don't know, I just dig that little riff to that. The slide guitar on that is just absolutely I don't know, that just like tweaks my head of that. What do you think?
I think it's amazing. It's the best song ever.
I could
I
see
would
ya.
have never thought of a better song.
You were-
Jesse,
you
you're
were-
brilliant.
You were so into it, like you're on the phone.
I'm letting everybody on YouTube know how into it I am on a very fabulous. What is today? What Wednesday?
It is a
Windy Wednesday.
on
Windy
it.
Wednesday.
Yeah,
Can we
really,
go
it
with
is a
that?
windy Wednesday. That's
Okay.
a better, more apropos as in that. And that's kind of going to segue into one of our topics that we'll be talking on here in a bit about the wind. And because, the wind is one of the best carriers of flu, cold viruses. And we've had a little bit of controversy with the viruses and flu and stuff and that. We'll be talking about that. We'll get your take on that because it has a connotation because right down the block from the studios here, there's something going on there that probably needs a little more explanation, if nothing else, if it's not a downright conspiracy. But we'll get to that in a minute. At the bottom of the hour, we'll have John Capella, Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association on to preview all the things that they're doing, trying to protect us from getting buried by taxes each and every day on that are coming up. We got two big ones coming up. Statewide, a $15 billion school bond that they're going broke on. They say the schools are going broke. One little tidbit. The school budget for K through 12 is over $100 million in 2019. What do you think the whole general fund budget for the state of California was a scant 8 years ago in 2011?
What was it for 2019?
Just the schools are over $100 million. $100 billion.
For how long? For 1 year?
For 1 year. For 2019-20 school year.
Okay, and what's your question?
So the whole state that they ran the whole general fund on in 2011, a scant 8 years ago, how much do you think the whole general fund budget was? It ran the whole state, schools, everything.
Oh my gosh. I'm going to say 50 million.
How much?
50?
You're close, 75.
Oh, dang it.
75.
I was so close.
We ran freeways, paid all the salaries, everything for everybody, funded the schools, everything else for $75 billion.
But how many years ago was that?
8.
But how much has stuff gone up in 8 years? I mean, a lot.
No. The
Yes.
inflation index is probably less than 10% in there.
Well, I mean, between people getting bonuses, wages, like everything.
That figures that in. That's
I know. That's what I'm saying.
The average cost of things have went up that they say.
So you're getting me all upset. I can't even talk. Stop it.
That there was a big, if we have the video from Channel 4, there was a big 25-story unit apartment fire that broke out. They were rescuing people. They had a helicopter picking people off the roof up and down the line. It was a big mess. And I guess this thing had lit up about a few years ago. It's an older building. I think it was built in the 50s or 60s. It doesn't have sprinklers or anything. They had a fire, if I remember right, there not too long, a few years ago or so. But man, that was a big story today. So if we have some video to shoot of that, just real quick, Jesse, if you can run that. Or this is a big LA
Those are about the
apartment fire
heights that
on
you would jump from, where you would
KMBC4.
feel, I guess, that it is an adequate device to be using in a situation like this. But when we start talking about the 6th floor and above, does that device become less functional, I guess? Or it's less safe for people to jump into it?
Well, it does. The higher you go, it is going to be the harder impact when you do hit it, but it is an alternative. And again, I don't know. I just heard that there was a possibility of jumpers from the 6th floor. I don't know of anybody above that. I don't have the facts on that.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, all this information is just coming in. This is a very fluid situation, Chief. And as we continue to watch, if you're just joining us right now, this is a live. These are videos that you're
there's
seeing
the
right
start
now,
of it there.
high-rise
I was hoping we could have some of the helicopter footage of that, of where they were rescuing people off the top, because they did get most.
Oh, so some people went to the roof.
Yeah, some people went up on the roof to get up, to alleviate that, but they got most out. One person, the report is in grave condition, one in very critical, but that was the extent that we know of so far on the serious injuries on that fire. But
they don't know what started it or anything.
They said it was they said right away, the fire department and the PIO said it was a suspicious in nature right off the get-go. And there was a fire, not that it's, I don't know if it's related or maybe somebody was setting them, but there was a fire at a bank just down the street like an hour or two before this. I don't know if they're connected. It could be or not be, but if the fire department is saying right off the bat that this fire is of suspicious circumstances, that usually means it wasn't just like a gas leak or electrical fire, or somebody, a grease fire on a stove or something that got out of control or something. They must have ran across something, or had a report or somebody told them something that got their ire up on it. So we'll find out about that later on as the investigation goes on. They'll let us know what actually is going on with that. But the big news of the day, and I had the piece up on IE Newswire on that. It started coming out last Tuesday night. There were reports that there's a flight coming out of China where the coronavirus is doing. That's not the right one on IE Newswire. The story of that that there a lot of the diplomats and stuff were getting out of the area where this coronavirus is supposedly spreading in China. So they chartered a flight, about 200, mostly diplomats. From my understanding from the press conference was that there were a few people that were maybe residents, vacationers or something there that were American citizens that were on the flight too. But a little over 200 people were on this flight that the government chartered to get the diplomats from the U.S. Embassy or whatever it was over there, representatives or whoever they had over there, to get them out of there on that. So it came out Thursday, some of the residents or some of the people around San Bernardino, because the flight was coming into Ontario. They're saying, well, why is the flight coming into Ontario? Was a little bit of that. There's a post on IE Newswire. Is there a coronavirus cover-up? We'll cover that in a minute. So then Thursday night, and I've interviewed him a couple of times, Supervisor Kurt Hagman of San Bernardino. He is also on the airport commission at Ontario Airport, where this flight was originally, its destination was coming in from China. So I'm sure, I would imagine, I'm just speculating, but I imagine he's probably getting word from his constituents or people around, hey, what's this coming in, da-da-da-da-da. So he puts out this video last Tuesday night. So run video 1 of that. This is Kurt Hagman, Tuesday night, giving an update on the flight coming in from China with the people who were evacuating because of the coronavirus threat. So when you've got it, roll it. Are we rolling?
Kurt Hagman, Chairman of the Board of Supervisors for San Bernardino County and one of the 5 commissioners at Ontario International Airport. I'm here to give you an update on the Wuhan flight from China back to Ontario. Just want to let you know that CDC just let us know that the flight will be diverted to March Air Force Base. I want to thank all our first responders at Ontario Fire, Ontario PD, all the officials, and especially the county team that did amazing things to be prepared for this flight. As you know, that Ontario International is one of the repatriation airports for the West Coast, and we always are prepared to receive our citizens abroad in times of emergencies. They did a great job. We were prepared, but the State Department decided to switch the flight to March Air Force Base for logistics that they have. Stay tuned. We'll bring you updates. But again, that flight is not coming to Ontario. It's going to March Air Force Base at this time. Thank you, and have a good night.
Okay, so we're getting that they're switching that to the March Air Force Base. They're switching the flight. Some people have put it out on social media. Boom, this flight gets switched. The State Department of the U.S. government switches the destination for logistics reasons. This begs some questions. Write up and put up the story on IE Newswire. Ontario and Oakland Airport are the two repatriation airports in California, which means if you're a United States citizen, you're coming in overseas in an emergency situation or something like this, that this is the two airports that are set up, ready to go, designated for these flights to come into. So, well, why is it getting diverted from that? And there's pictures out there of the crew setting up, getting ready to come in because they've got 12 or so hours to prepare, so they're getting all the stuff ready at Ontario. Pretty soon, well, that stops. They're coming to March. Well, why? Why are we making a logistics? Well, explain why you're making this logistics move on that. Is March set up better than Ontario for this? Have there been preparations because they're not on the list for doing this?
Right.
Of that. So is it because people over there were complaining and they just, we'll get them out of there and we'll just send them over to Moreno Valley? We'll let them deal with it. What's the question? There should have been a press release or something explanation of why they decided to change the flight from where it naturally should have went at Ontario to March Air Force Base.
You don't think they did a little explanation on that?
They just said for logistical reasons. Well, the logistics suggest that it should be going to Ontario because they have all the preparations and stuff to handle this. That's been designated.
Like the masks and everything?
Yes, they have all the training people. That's why they are I can't say that word anymore. It's because I'm getting revved up here again. That airport is designed, one of two in state of California. We got one up north in Oakland, one in California, Southern California, Ontario. They're set up, and there's pictures of them showing they were getting stuff ready to go. Hey, they're coming in. They're going to be coming in here in about 12 hours. Let's get everything ready to go. Like you say, Matt, boom, 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 pull the plug after people start complaining. Well, people are making complaints.
What are they complaining about, though?
They're saying, well, why are they coming in? People are saying, well, why are these, you know how social media works.
Right.
There's a plane full of
sick,
coronavirus, sick people coming in, everybody's going, then it starts, starts building on the social media. So once that starts, and all of a sudden, and in the meantime, Ontario's preparing because, and this is probably, I'm assuming how it got leaked out. Somebody probably, could have been working at Ontario Airport. Hey, we heard this and that, and somebody tack on the social media, and then here it goes. Because you get, there's going to be a lot of people once that word gets out, or once those preparations go. There's a lot of people that are going to be, at Ontario Airport that are getting ready for this. Could be 10, 20, 50, 100. I don't know.
But at least they're not getting a bunch of people sick, though. I mean, it wasn't.
Well, who knows?
I see what you're saying. I do, and even Deborah writes in, moving it. They did the right thing by moving it. So
how do we know? How do we know March is set up? How do we know March is set up, or is better prepared?
Well, they should be set up. I mean, it's not.
They're not. They're not the official designation for doing that. Ontario is. So why are we moving it?
But why would you want to put a bunch of people at risk? I mean, you're going to have more people at Ontario Airport versus March. How many mothers and children or fathers and their children are
Well, there's
at
about 10,000
Ontario versus
people that
March?
work in and around just at March Air Force Base every day.
Right.
Coming in and out of there every day.
But they're aren't in an Air Force base. I mean, you would think they would be somewhat prepared for something. I mean, if there's a nuclear war, you're going to tell me they don't have something ready for that? They got to have masks and gowns or something like that. And I pray to God there's no nuclear war. But just saying.
Again,
they should have explained it, though, so I see what you're saying.
Exactly.
They
if they would have
explained
come out and said
but I
this
see
is
why they moved it.
right.
Because that march does make more sense. A private airport, a smaller airport makes
Maybe,
way more sense
maybe not.
than a huge
How do
airport
we
that thousands go
but
to in a day.
We know Ontario is set up to do this. They are prepared. They have all the stuff. They've been for many years. What we don't know is the preparations that March has.
Right.
We have no idea. They
Because
have
it's secret.
not necessarily. It's an
Should
air
be.
reserve base. It's not a SAC base like it used to be
So
when
they
it was
say.
really on that. But what? Back to the deal. We don't know. So why are you diverting the flight? Well, for logistical reasons. Well, you mean the plane can't
Even
land?
Susan writes in March would be more prepared.
How do we know?
Thanks, Susan.
What is the basis that you determine that?
Don't argue with Susan from Herb Valley.
Well,
Trina writes in, suppose they can leave in 72 hours and be monitored
we will
from
get to
where.
we will get to that. They had a press conference about this, which raised, in my mind, even more questions than what were going on here. So just
Can I finish reading?
go ahead.
Okay. No, I forgot where, so I'm going to just start over. Suppose they can leave in 72 hours and be monitored from everywhere they live. That's a little concerning when they say it's about a 2-week period of contamination.
We will get to your concerns, and you're going to even be surprised what came out at the news conference, Susan, from Harupa Valley.
No, Trina wrote that in.
Oh, Trina from her.
Susan from
where?
Hooper Valley agrees with me. And Deborah.
Boy, is that a triumphant to be with.
Don't mess with us.
Well, yeah, I would. I would
She
stamp
wrote
on
because they're military. You're upsetting Susan.
that doesn't mean just because military does not mean protection or anything else. Ontario, we know, is prepared for this. We don't know the preparations that are at March. Explain to us why March was a better logistical fit to that. We should know this because you're gonna figure this out maybe once I play the rest of the clips from the news conference.
Edward writes, and hang on. This flu is supposed to be particle-borne and not past airborne.
Then why the hell are we wearing masks?
Thank you, Edward, for writing in.
I was listening to
I'm going to go get a six-pack
one
of
of the
Coronas later
doctors
just to make
said,
sure.
this is a new virus. We really don't understand how it works. We don't have a good handle on it. That's why they don't have a vaccine or anything else. We're learning about it. So mainly it's all up in the air. Play clip number 2 about the diversion of the flight. This is a press conference at the Riverside University Medical Center, the county hospital, where I was at over a year ago with the spider bite out there on Nason and Cactus.
The spider bite.
Right here on that, they had a press conference with some of the officials of that. So play clip number 2 on that. This is the reason why they said this is after the plane landed about 10 o'clock today at the press conference. So roll clip number 2.
Answered and understood. Tony.
This is a question from the
general
report.
question for anyone who can answer it. Why was the plane diverted at the last second or last minute from?
He's asking why was the plane
Ontario
diverted at the
International
last second
to the military base?
to the military base?
Yeah, thank you for that question. And this has been a rapidly changing situation and the way that we handle it. And the decisions, frankly, have been made at a high level in government. But I think the most important factor that was taken into consideration is the comfort of these passengers to staying, coming from this area. They have their own traumas, very long flight, and they could be at the base for up to 2 weeks. So we think that the base is probably the most comfortable accommodation that we could find for them.
Okay, stop right there. He goes back with the place they would be more comfortable at. Well, describe what the difference in the condition of Ontario Airport, which has been, if you go through the facility at Ontario Airport, this is just speaking for me, it's a lot nicer facility to roll through than when you're rolling through Old March Air Force Base.
Maybe they got to be less contained at March than they would have to be at Ontario. Angel writes in, it's fake.
What's fake?
I don't know. But
so
it's conspiracy all around everywhere. So
you
know what? Oddly though,
yes.
my throat is beginning to
so
hurt.
we have, and as we do, Mark Takano knew about this. Our congressman, and he represents this area, Moreno Valley, Paris, and everything else. So put up the deal from IEN and have clip number 3 ready. So he knows Tuesday night when this, and does not say anything until after the plane has landed. This is our federal representative who said he was briefed on the deal that Jesse put the first clip up on. He said he was briefed on it Tuesday night, but said nothing to the constituents that he's serving and where this plane is diverted from and coming to. 0. Why are we not saying anything about this? Even a press release coming out. Yes, I am aware that the plane coming from China with the evacuees from coronavirus are coming to March Air Force Base. That flight was diverted. We're compiling the information right now, but maybe the federal government or the CIA or somebody put a hold on it. But as soon as that information is available, we will release it. No, it's dead silence while all this stuff is going on. So again, there could be nothing. There could be nothing behind it. There could be something behind it. But why the cover-up? Why not tell us what the heck is going on so this stuff doesn't go? Now, this is going to get more interesting. Play clip number 3 as we're getting ready to go.
Uniformed service members that are on that base and the health of the community around them.
So that means they can, in fact, leave for 72 hours.
This is totally voluntary. It's just you referred to it as a whole.
He's asking, when can they leave? The 200 plus that are
What
there.
exactly is this?
Can they leave, yes or no?
They're asking, can they leave?
They can leave, however,
Stop right there.
they are sitting in the middle.
Those 200 plus can leave that Air Force Base right now. You just heard it from the press conference of that. Go ahead and roll the rest of the clip.
Of a military base. Any discussion around departure would be just that, would be a discussion.
So you told them by other means. Is that correct? No one will be leaving before 3 days, no matter what.
No.
No to what?
No, they're not. She's asking again.
So they are not under a quarantine order during the 72 hours.
If someone demands to leave today, right now.
Guy's asking, what if they demand to leave right now?
If someone demands to leave right now, that is where all of the partners that you see here in front of you, as well as the
Now,
other
just stop right there.
partners
Go
that are
back to her
engaged-
first answer. When the first question was, can they leave right now? Yes. So this is a BS deflection that keep playing this. It's a BS deflection
this
of what,
mission
because she already
would come
answered the
together
question and she's
and
not
talk
denying it.
about
Now
what
she's
needs to be
babbling
done.
like a fruit.
And this would be discussed up to the highest levels within the U.S. government as well. So we would ensure that we are making the right decision for the American people.
So you already made the right decision. You told us they can leave at any time. You did not put them under federal quarantine.
Public flights, and will the people on board those flights be notified that there's someone who just came from Wuhan
Yes.
on board? I mean, what are their rights? What
The
are people
reporter's asking,
outside,
what if somebody
their
leaves
rights?
now
If they're
or
not-
the
if they can leave
72
before the
hours,
2 weeks
and
when you
what
guys don't
happens
even know?
if they,
China health
if they're on a
officials have
flight
said
or wandering
it's
around or
spread
in the
before there's even
restaurant where you're at?
symptoms.
I can tell this is causing a lot of confusion. Let me try and bring hopefully some assurances to what
This guy
we
looks really reassured.
we can do, what we will do. If we think that a person is a danger to the community, we can institute an individual quarantine for that person. and we will. Not only will we, but if it's in this county, then the local county health officer likely will do the same. So this is something, is a judgment call about how risky this action is on the part of this person. If we think it's risky, then we have the tools to protect the public, and we will use them. If we don't think it's risky, and it's before the 72 hours, and we know that where they're going, they have a fairly short flight, they're going to be met at where they're going to be in the jurisdiction where they're going. The public health is fully engaged. They're going to be monitored. We think that we can that we can assure the protection in that way, because monitoring will not stop.
But you didn't answer the question. Is there a breakdown of cities where the people will be flying? Is it a public flight? Will the passengers be notified?
So
to wear masks or whatever?
if they're allowed to fly, they're considered not infectious. They're not, and therefore those passengers would not be considered contacts to an infectious
But
case.
even China health officials have said that people are infectious before they even present symptoms. So how will they?
So we don't know that. We've heard one China health official say that, but we don't know that that's the case.
Well, I guess that's the key word. We don't know.
Yes.
And that's what is scaring everyone.
But it
You
comes
guys
down
don't
to
seem to
blood
know,
tests
but
too, right?
aren't
Blood
we?
Yeah.
tests are pretty definitive.
So we are, when I've talked to the people, everybody wants to know their status. And it's for their own health,
stop
for the
right there.
health of their,
He said
their family
we don't
and so
know
forth.
when the infectious diseases, but we can just kick them out if we determine it. If they're and they've said some of the reports are coming out. I've heard doctors' reports. You might have it, and your symptoms might not come out for 5 to 7 or 12, 14 days. So you could say, okay, you appear to be perfectly healthy. Walking out the door right now, 72 hours later, yada, 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 going out, flying, whatever, driving, eating in the restaurants, doing it with the public, and then 14 days later, 10 days, 5 days, you're in the hospital with the coronavirus. If it wasn't that big a deal, why'd you fly him out of there in the first place?
James writes in, Alaska doesn't have military bases. Who knew? So they decided to take people to one of the most populated states rather than Alaska. Okay. And then Susan writes in, I don't really want to read her comment, but I will anyway.
Read Susan's comment.
Need to listen to the complete statement before you jump in, Roy, with your conclusions. Oh, you're grounded. And then Edward writes back to James, I'm going to cut you off, there are at least 2 military bases in Alaska.
What I'm saying, he doesn't know. He has no freaking idea of that. And then, if it's no big deal, why are you putting him in here?
I think everybody is panicking. Everyone's acting like zombies are going to be coming out and eating people's brains.
They won't tell you what the heck's going on.
Just stay indoors and don't go anywhere.
I'm not living like a freaking hermit because these guys are
you already do.
Yes. They decide that we're going to do this and create all this stuff. If you say, hey, we don't, we diverted over there. We got these accommodations over at March. We felt it was better to do that over there because X, Y, and Z. And this is the reason why we did it. Not logistic reasons and da-da-da-da-da-da. Because the obvious question was, you already had it set up over there. That's where they were supposed to be. That's where the place that is set up to do this. Why are you moving it? There's got to be an explanation. That should be a simple explanation. That's how you stop all of the BS.
Crazy people going nuts.
Yes. Because we are out here. The report. Look at the Channel 7, Letitia, whatever from Channels. They're all asking these questions. I wasn't over there. I'd have been over there if I knew what was going on. But these are the dominant media people, reporters that are asking these questions, not Roy. So if you
so
think I'm a
upset.
nut, why are these guys asking, guys and gals asking?
Because everybody's freaking out.
Because
No, I'm freaking out.
Because, yeah, and this is how
30
this stuff
seconds.
gets started.
30
And it's
seconds.
windy.
Yes, but besides that, the wind's blowing 9,000 miles an hour, blowing this coronavirus all. No, I don't know that that's a fact, but it could.
Oh my God.
Anything, just like that guy said, it could.
Why are we?
So Jesse's silencing me.
All right, guys, here we go. 10 seconds.
Oh, see,
Why are we hearing him in our ear?
KNT1490am.com
You're hearing
and
the speaker
download
on
your
the-
free phone app today.
Turn the speaker off.
IE
Remember
Newswire
I get
Daily
those through the
is on
settings?
the air.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
The
that's
following is a
coronavirus.
paid program. Views and claims expressed are those of the program producer and are not endorsed by this station. Opinion.
I know.
There we go. Can I talk now? No, I'm just kidding.
Are we okay?
Yeah,
Are we good?
we're good.
Good?
Love that. He's our engineer was panicking over here because a couple of things were going on. He told
I'm the only sane one in the studio, apparently. Me and Sean.
that's scary in of itself.
Nah.
I think we're all
Got it.
under control. Jesse, our engineer
No, we're not.
extraordinaire here in studio, Toyota Severino Recording Studios. Got it under control. Sean back at KMET booming us out as we're joining that on IE Newswire on
Windy Wednesday.
On that, and it was. I'd give us some reports on that of how, where that, because, man, for about 2 hours, and we were talking about the whole coronavirus thing on that coming up, of that, but the wind was blowing like, 40, 50, 60 mile an hour
Insane
gusts through
today.
here. Yes, it was
It was
flat.
crazy.
The old
There's
San
a tree by
Ana-
my house. It's just, meh. It's a
And
big
one of
too.
them, and I think down in Riverside, go see if you can find the picture later on that. No, there was a big tree that fell on a down in Riverside that fell on a car.
Susan
on
from Hooper Valley said, I thought I
Hope
had
it
the
didn't-
coronavirus. It turns out it was hemorrhoids.
I hope the tree didn't fall on your
I'm
house.
not related, and I do not know that woman.
I hope, yeah.
We just have the same last
Yes,
name. for
hoping
some reason.
hoping that the tree didn't fall on your automobile or house on there. That no, we're just kidding.
Wow.
Of that. No, it was a pretty big one of the big trees down Riverside fell across on that.
Oh, I hope it wasn't like an old one.
Yes.
You know, they have.
Well, yeah, they have some old ones on that. Yeah, we're gonna switch gears now after we have we got on the
Oh, my
conspiracy
goodness.
train with the coronavirus and the plane coming from China with 200 diplomats and citizens of the U.S. that got diverted from Ontario to March Air Force Base, which is about 2 miles from us here, and got a lot of the community in angst on this. But something else that should get the community even more in angst about is some things that are coming up. We're going to be voting on there on $15 billion worth of school bonds statewide. On top of that, there's going to be a $750 million bond coming up on that. And on top of that, and it came up at the County Board of Supervisors a couple weeks ago about financing pension debt with bonds. I mean, the craziness that's going on all across the state is absolutely at a breakneck level pace, and hopefully to straighten it all out, because I can't. We've got John Coppell, President of Howard Jarvis Taxpayers, on the line. Welcome back to the show on IE Newswire Daily with Stephanie and Roy. John.
Hey, Roy, how you doing? Hi, Stephanie.
Hey, how are you?
I am well. Yeah, I'm not sure I can straighten everything out. I wish I could. I could.
You
I
can't
could
straighten
wave
Roy
a
out.
magic wand and make all this stupidity go away, but unfortunately, don't have that power.
Dang, I had my hopes.
I had
up.
hopes you were gonna fix
Yes,
Roy.
we
Now I'm
were
just disappointed.
after that big build up on that. But no, I understand. But that you are the.
I can provide clarity.
Yes,
Now,
that's why we have you on,
yeah,
because
in order of immediacy, I would say the first thing that I think taxpayers need to focus on is the Prop 13, which is not the good Prop 13 from 1978, is the bad Prop 13 from 2020. It will be on the ballot in March. People are receiving their ballot pamphlets now. We are getting lots of calls because of the confusion. You know, is this Is this related to our Prop 13? The answer is no. There is an attack on our Prop 13, the 1978 Prop 13, coming up in November. But the immediate issue is this bad Prop 13, which is a $15 billion statewide school bond, which, let me say at the outset, our school children deserve good facilities, good programs. Nobody disputes that. But this is a flawed measure on many different levels. First and foremost, why would we go into debt and reward Wall Street and bond brokers and bond underwriters and bond counsel with lots of money when we have a surplus of $22 billion? You know, Pat Brown, Jerry Brown's father, paid for much of California's infrastructure in the 60s on a pay-as-you-go basis. There is no reason to go into debt if the school facilities really need this money, and some of them do, some of them don't. So we have a threshold issue of why would we go into debt anyway? And the second issue, and far more troublesome for property owners, and people say, wait a minute, this does not affect property owners because statewide bonds are repaid out of the state's general fund. There's no requirement that a statewide tax be imposed to pay off. It just comes out of the general fund. That is true. However, there is a provision in this bad Prop 13 that says that the local debt limits will be nearly doubled. And for local school districts, the way that they finance their schools is through local school bonds, which are repaid exclusively by property owners. And the only way they can tap into the state money, the money that Prop 13 would provide, is to float and propose and get passed their local bond measures. So this is a double hit for property owners, for taxpayers. You're taking the hit of a wasteful bond at the state level, and you're leaving property owners vulnerable to significant increases in bonded indebtedness that only local property owners repay. So that's the skinny on the bad Prop 13.
And I had somebody tell me this, a school official, don't vote for don't vote for the $750 million RCC bond because they've got plenty of money up there. They're passing a $15 billion bond that does that. And like you say, they're just financing on top of financing when, correct me, because I don't speak Sacramentoese and I'm a fairly simpleton type of person. You said we have a $22 billion surplus, correct? In the state of California. The bond that they are proposing is $15 billion. So, correct me if I'm wrong, but if we took $15 billion out of that surplus and paid for every project that they wanted done under this $15 billion, we would still have $7 billion left as a surplus, and we would pay cash and save probably the $12 to $15 billion in interest that the bonds are going to require that are going to the New York investment bankers.
Yes, but it's even worse than that. Because keep in mind, I'm just full of good news tonight.
Yes.
Keep in mind that $15 billion can't be spent all at once. It's this whole silly notion of we have shovel-ready projects ready to go. They can't spend $15 billion tomorrow. You could spend $1 billion a year over the next 25 years, and that would help. But that you're exactly right. That should come out of the state's general fund. Look, the dirty little secret about this, and you will see a lot of money coming in to support this Prop 13 from two major sources. First of all, the construction trade unions, which make a lot of money off this. And by the way, I like builders. I like the laborers, the carpenters, the bricklayers, the steel workers. Those are good guys. I have nothing against them, but their unions will support any project, no matter how good or bad it is, simply so they can get a slice of the pie. I understand that. So you will see a lot of money coming in from the construction trades. You will see a lot of money coming in from the construction companies because they get the contracts. You will see a lot of money coming in from the bond houses because they make money whenever California goes further into debt. And so who is really out there representing? Is this really for the kids? No, it's not. We have, in California, the legislative analyst projects declining enrollment. We don't have increasing enrollment in California schools. We have declining enrollment, and unions like the California Teachers Association, they're scared that we have declining enrollment because it means less work for them. So if you peel back the layers of the onion and you look at who's really interested in this, look, the school kids aren't the ones being represented here, and certainly the taxpayers aren't being represented here. So that's kind of the motivation behind this. Oh, and by the way, I left out one big special interest, and it's run by people I actually like, and that is the Home Builders Association. California Building Industry Association is a good group. They have been beaten down by overregulation and stupid land use regulations forever. I get that. I feel sympathy for them. But they're going to be squeezed by the governor to help fund this. Because why? Because a provision in this Prop 13 gives them some relief on developer fees in exchange for their support for a statewide school bond. So they're in the position of Stockholm Syndrome. They've been held hostage so long. And that's true. By the way, developers are extremely vulnerable to the vagaries of government because building permits are so discretionary that they have, a local city council says jump, and they have to say how high. The developers are extremely vulnerable to government influence. And so at the state level, the developers are being pressured by the governor to help finance this bond because they get some relief on the developer fees. Now, that's probably more insider baseball than your listeners really want to know, but look, that's why I'm here. I've just got to spill it out.
Yes, and everything you're saying, I mean, has been my experience too. But I want to touch on this, and you touched on it about the unions and the construction workers and stuff. Didn't they learn their lesson on the gas tax? And the operating engineers, which is the guys that we used to call the cat skinners, the ones that run the graders and the pavers and the laborers and all that build the freeways and infrastructures and water projects and all this stuff, that they said, we were promised that we were going to have all this road construction if we kept the gas tax. And they said, you know what? As Gavin Newsom said 2 weeks after he got elected and said, you know what? All this money ain't going to build roads. It's going to X, Y, and Z and everything else. And I think you may confirm this or maybe not, but it's my understanding. Really, the dirty little secret is, like we've been talking about, most of all this money is being collected because of the pension tsunami that's coming.
Right. Well, the pensions are driving so much of this. Now, the gas tax money, a percentage is being used for road construction, but it's like 20-30%, and for the unions, that's good enough. But unfortunately, the taxpayers are left holding the bag on the other wasteful 70%. So again, I understand the unions coming from where they are. And by the way, I was at an event, and some of the carpenter unions with their orange shirts all came up to me. I thought, oh my God, I'm going to be mugged.
Yeah, you thought, was a lynching about ready to take place?
Look, I'm just a lawyer. I don't do manual labor. So, but they came up to me and they said, to tell you the truth, we really like Prop 13. I'm not the bad Prop 13, the original Prop 13. So, these people, the hardworking tradespeople, they are our friends. It's just that the union bosses and the worst thing is high-speed rail. These guys know, and it probably frustrates them to no end, to know that they are working on a project that will never be viable. If you were a steel worker, wouldn't you want to be working on something that has lasting value and that people are actually going to use? I mean, That's the dirty little secret.
And I don't know if you've been in touch with the Operating Engineers Union, but that's what shocked me is their union heads were finally coming out and saying, my interpretation, we were lied to, meaning the union, that we were, like you're saying, that we were going to get all this work, we were going to be doing this, and like you're saying, the money's getting diverted. Yeah, they're throwing you a few crumbs out there to do this, and we're out here starving to death, per se. We thought, man, we're gearing up, construction companies are gearing up, we're recruiting, getting ready. Oh, well, wait a minute. All that money, it's not going to building roads, it's going to be doing all this other stuff, and they're going, well, what? I mean, when does the majority wake up?
Yeah, it's tough. Well, the majority, unfortunately, so many our schools are not giving our students a quality product, and they're being indoctrinated, and that is the thing that needs to happen first. We need our schools, instead of being focused on increasing administration, increasing teacher pay, we need to be focused on actually giving students a quality education where they understand citizenship and civic responsibility. That is not happening in California right now.
Sadly, I agree with you on that, and just about everything you say, as I usually do on that. Thank you for your valuable time and insights on this. And we'll keep chipping away at this, and hopefully we'll get more people to see the light on this. And I think they're slowly coming our way. Rome wasn't built in a day.
It wasn't, and I think I'm seeing some signs of progress. So we'll just keep our fingers crossed.
Tell them how they should join Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association.
Just go to our website at hjta.org. And we get no government support. We are supported by our 200,000 members. And if you're not a member and you're a property owner, you should be a member of the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association. That's hjta.org.
And it's only $15 a year. I mean, if you
That's
can't afford that, I mean, we're doomed anyway. No, but it's the best $15 investment you'll ever make, because you'll save hundreds of thousands of dollars over your lifetime investing in that. Thanks a lot, John. We'll have you on again.
All right, Roy. Take care.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
John.
Bye-bye.
I also put the link in the comment section if you are tuning in on iNewsWire on Facebook or YouTube. You can also click on that and check it out there. Right? Yep.
I mean, hopefully, and I mean, it kind of gets your perspective. You see why we bring this stuff out, why I personally am so concerned about this stuff of going on, because, and that's why I kind of started with the example of, okay, the school budget is 25% bigger than the whole state general fund budget of 8 years ago. Has our education went up? Has our quality of education went up? And then John brought out the point, and you can see the stats. You've seen at Moreno Valley Unified School District and practically every school district. We have declining enrollment.
Right.
So why do you need new facilities?
See, but I feel like with the schools, all schools, I'm not just speaking Moreno Valley Unified, they're upping what they bring to the schools, which costs more money, in hopes that students will come to school. So now they're bribing kids, which they shouldn't have to do. They really shouldn't. And giving them above and beyond what they need to succeed in schooling. I mean, I think it's great, the things that our district does. They're amazing. I mean, they sent science projects to the moon. I mean, it's crazy what these students do and get involved in, but that all costs money. And is it necessary? Do we need to do that?
Yes, because if we were getting value,
I think it's neat, but I think also parents want their students to be doing all these great, wonderful, rah-rah things. Parents should be putting out some money too. Why are we paying, especially you? You don't have kids in the school system. Why are you paying for these kids to have such an amazing, blissful?
And it wouldn't if the results were there, I wouldn't mind. I would not, but it would be great if we were up in number one in education when we spent far less per student. We're spending over when you combine everything, we're spending over $20,000 per student, K through 12. Every kid in a desk. You see 30 kids in a classroom. That's $600,000 a year.
That's crazy.
In that one classroom. How many classrooms are all over the state of California? It adds up to $100 billion of the 6 million students round number that we have K through 12. And it's getting, like you say, you're not getting the result. If we were getting the results for that, it's like the frustration I get with it. First, we were going to build a 5th high school because we need a 5th high school that few of us were saying, how do you do that when you have declining enrollment? You're not eligible for matching funds. You don't know what you're talking about. Till one day when reality hit them in the face and they tried to turn in the paperwork, and the state of California said, you know what, you're not eligible for matching funds because you've had 10 years of declining enrollment. And your projections in the future of that, why do you need to do 5th high school? But your leaders, your elected leaders and your staff, your executive staff are pushing this all the time, just like they push the Measure M bond. There's plenty of money to do that. I put out, has so far not been refuted, of how you could have built every project that they've done in the last 5 years or 4 years of Measure M with the money without borrowing a dime. And your school district, by a 5-0 vote, at the last school board meeting, voted to endorse this exact Prop 13. And we will play the clip later on of the debate and discussion that went on, and it will surprise. Well, maybe it won't surprise you, but it needs to be put on the historical record of how it was discussed on that, and it got a 5-0 vote to support passing this $15 billion school bond. All 5 of the board members of Moreno Valley Unified School District signed on to this. And you know what they said? The basic thing was, short story, oh, it's for the kids.
Shut up.
We'll play the clip. We'll play the whole thing.
We don't need to.
It was a very short. This is your elected representatives that are doing it.
Edward, right? I'm not even going to read Edward's comment.
Edward,
get out of here.
What did Edward say?
Edward writes, I don't know what comment I was going to. Exactly, Roy. It is ridiculous.
Thank you, Edward. Edward.
How great your hair looks today is what he meant.
It's simple. And if you don't believe me, John Copel is sitting there. And it is amazing. Like the example he said, when they're back behind, or when they find you, they sit. I get this all the time. They come up to, we really like what you're doing, but we can't say anything because, like John said, they got the thumb. They have got such a thumb on everybody from the top of the government down. They've got such a thumb. They've got such a threat. They rule by fear.
What's the Winter Nationals in Pomona? Should I not have said that on there?
Well, probably the second biggest drag racing event behind the Indy Nationals in the world. Wow. The Winter Nationals of Pomona that was the first, started in the 50s, I believe, at Pomona. Was the first big national drag racing event coming on. It's an iconic event. They have we start the drag racing season in Pomona, and we end it with the World Finals, which came up, I think, which is usually in October, with the World Finals of that. It's an absolutely, you've got to go to the. We got to go to the. I'm going to ask this. Have you ever been to a drag race?
No, but my father would like to go, so make it happen.
It is drag racing. You've seen drag racing is more kind of like the.
Is that the one with the parachute that comes out
yes.
then? I wasn't listening to you talking right now, so if you said
that was
sorry.
It. And in fact, the guy that owns the plane that flew the 200 plus from China to that is a man named Connie Coletta. He also owns Coletta Airlines. He's a former NHRA champion drag racer, as a car owner and that, and even unfortunately his son was a championship funny car driver. His son lost his life in a funny car accident.
You're making me sad all kinds of ways today.
But Connie Coletta, there's a great story of how he got. I think he was a World War II pilot. So that he got his start in his airlines because he had bought an old rickety plane or something or that. And there was a horse that was going to run in the Kentucky Derby that was based in Southern California. And they used, back in the 50s, they used to trailer him all the way back to Kentucky to run the Kentucky Derby. He flew the horse from L.A. to Kentucky, and the horse won. He built his company because then then all the rich horse guys wanted him to fly their horses all over the place, and that's how there was his big break in airlines, and that's how he made his fortune. And that's where Kalitta Airlines, you can see him at Ontario, that if you go or LAX and stuff, you'll see, if you go in the back door where like the freight is all in, you'll see Kalitta Airlines planes all over the place of that. But he built a great company just off of that, but that was his break on that. So
I asked one question. One question. I'm just kidding. I don't even remember anymore.
Just ask away.
Anyways, my dad wants to go, so we got to get tickets, and we should give away tickets too. That'd be cool. Make it happen. That's your part. Anyways,
what isn't my part?
Shut up. Edward writes in, I love you, Stephanie. Don't tell Roy. I definitely won't tell Roy because I know, we all know who's the favorite around here. He also writes in, what I meant was it's ridiculous is what California spends per student and the results. We are at the bottom on results. Really, here we go again.
We are. I cite the stats all the time. We're in the 40s. We were number one in 1990 when all this started. And the teachers union passed 1988, and I went through the story, and we don't have time to do it.
We don't?
We will go again. That was the start. The teachers union.
Oh, gosh.
California Teachers Association.
I'm trying to do promos, dude.
Started the destruction and the decline of the great state of California.
Join us on Super Bowl Sunday. We're going to be at
Mountain Mike's.
Starting at
2:30
for
Super Bowl Sunday, the 49ers versus the Chiefs. Come on out.
Go Chiefs.
There'll be
$2 pints, $3 domestic beers, half off wings, and garlic twists. No, garlic sticks. I didn't say that. Also, coming up on Monday, we're going to have my friend AJ Smith, who is a indie pop singer and songwriter with his new song. I forgot. That song.
That's a hell of a title. Crap, I forgot. I'm interested.
You ruined my
yeah.
dang promos. Oh,
That's
and
it.
I ended with 8 seconds left to do.
And that we're doing that. That gives us 8 seconds to do our little out as we are
normally say
gone.
we're gone.